Okay, so which college coach is getting paid too much? We talk about this. This is a discussion that people have. Here's our take. If you can make as much money as possible, you should go do that. We are all for that and we love that. However, there's a thing called value, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. For instance, Matt, is Kirby Smart paid appropriately at roughly $10 million a year?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
When you win two championships, I mean, it could be more than that. But
Hmm.
when you're doing your job and doing it better than anyone right now, you're the top dog. Yeah, you get to be paid kind of whatever you want. But I'll say this: I've always wanted to be the president of the United States. I still think
Oh,
that's a goal that I'd like to accomplish.
wait, are
But
you?
being
Let me ask. Let me get. Hold on.
yeah,
Wait a second.
okay,
Are you eligible to be the president? Are you 35 years old yet?
in a couple years, I
Okay, here
might
we go.
run on a ticket.
Oh,
But
here we go.
being a college football coach might be number two for me because that is the best job in the world. If you get a job, you have, it's great. And then if you do well, you get an extension. If you don't do well, you get fired and you get a nice little buyout. So it doesn't seem like there's a lot of bad things that go with being a college football head coach. And we've got some numbers I think you two might have, in front of you right now, but you can go down the list because I think we said before we jumped on that there's a lot of coaches that are being overpaid right now, Ryan.
Yeah, are we jumping into who's
Yeah, let's go
overpaid?
for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mel Tucker, that's one of them.
Okay.
Matt.
I mean, nine and a half million a year, roughly, at Michigan State
Yeah.
for 6-6.
Yeah, I think expectations too with these programs are something. I mean, Mike Norvell just got an extension. He beat an LSU team with their first head coach, then lost 3 games, and they said, "Hey, we'll give you all this money." Mark Richt got fired for going 10-3. At Florida State, you get a raise, an extension for going
Yeah.
10-3. So a lot of it depends on where you are, especially if you're at Texas A&M, that's the first guy that comes to mind to me is Jimbo
Just
Fisher.
went right
He lost
into it.
he lost what 8, 9, 10 games last year. I can't remember. They were out of the conversation by September, but he's getting paid a lot, guys, a lot. And
I,
I don't. You might have the numbers in front of me, but he's the first guy that comes to mind to me.
I'm going with Sportico numbers because I know they actually do some reporting. I said 10 million for Kirby. I should correct myself. It's 11.25. And your boy Dabo. Well, we can get into Dabo a little bit later. One guy that jumped out to me, Ryan, and this may or may not be on y'all's radar because he's not coached there yet, but is it correct that Matt Rule is getting paid
That's what
nine?
I was looking
Okay,
at.
go ahead. Go for it. Go for it.
How are you, where is that coming from, man? I mean, he's
That's a lot of
never
corn to shuck. I'll tell you that right
was
now.
he really
Nice,
was he really
nice.
that big of a name that he was worth that? I mean, no. The answer is no.
Okay.
I didn't think he was that good at Baylor, right? He was good, but he wasn't like this, like, oh, he's one of the 5, 6, 7 best coaches in college football when he was there.
I think it
Goes to
was really,
Carolina, does a bad job. I
yeah, he
mean,
did. He did.
over 9 million.
Well, but I think part of the issue here, y'all, is that um, the the salaries continue to go higher because of straight up capitalism. I mean, there's more money, there's more demand, and I think in college football specifically, there's a view of the world. Tell me if I'm wrong here, Matt, that only so many coaches can actually win the national championship, and therefore those coaches are going to get paid dramatically well. Are the coaches as follows? We know some coaches have won them in the past. Kirby has won in the past, Nick, Dabo. But will they win in the future? Will Nick Saban? I mean, Nick Saban's won 7 national championships. He's paid almost $12 million a year. Will Nick win one in the future? Is he worth that money?
Absolutely. I don't know if Matt Rule is, but I think
Okay.
their opinion was let's go get a guy who can run an organization, even though he didn't run an organization well in Carolina. But if they have 9 million to pay him, then you can talk about NIL and the transfer portal. So I think a program like Nebraska, even though it hasn't been relevant in a long, long time, it still has some history and an incredibly passionate fan base. And apparently they've got resources and the capital to spend. So if they can spend it on a coach, maybe they're thinking they can spend it on NIL, bring in recruits that way, get some guys from the transfer portal who might want to be coached by a guy who did coach in the NFL, whether he was successful or not. But Mike Norvell, Mario Cristobal, I'm not sure those guys can win national title, although I do think Mike Norvell is, taking Florida State to the right direction. And Miami is chucking out, NIL deals left and right, although they just had a young man, asked to be released from his. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. But at the end of the day, you are what the market says you are,
Right.
and you are what these coaches are willing to pay you. And if you, win the interview and show these programs that, hey, I am worth it. A lot of them are desperate, like Nebraska. I think that was kind of a desperation move. They just want to get their guy, and they don't care how they do it. They want their guy, and they will overpay.
So here's my question. I want to touch on this real quick because this is a curious spot. I'm looking at the reporting from Sportico because it's just relatively up to date. Kentucky is not only paying Mark Stoops more money than John Calipari. They are paying Mark Stoops the same. Yeah, I know. I don't even want to talk about John Calipari. I mean, talk about getting overpaid. Is Mark Stoops the same value coach as Lane Kiffin? Because they're both paid the same, and I would argue that Ole Miss and Kentucky have had roughly the same results lately. I think Ole Miss has had better results lately, but not going crazy there. Lane Kiffin and Mark Stoops both making $9 million. Ryan, did I freeze? What is happening here? Oh my God! All right, we had some whack job gremlins there. You got you've got Mark Stoops and Lane Kiffin at 9 million each. Comments? Because they're, I mean, are you getting 9 million versus worth of value? That's my question.
No, at the end of the day, a lot of these teams are not getting the value out of their coach. But what you're seeing, and not just college football, but all across sports with these salaries just keep going up and going up. You could look in the NBA and it's like, oh, I can't believe that guy's making $30 million. It's the same sentiment where the market's just diluted now. There are only a handful of guys that really deserve that close to or above $10 million mark. And they're the guys that you're going to compete for a national championship with. Like Nick Saban, even if they don't win one over the next couple of years, was he worth $11 million? Yes, because of the culture and what he brings to Alabama and what he's already done. You look at the guys who haven't won a national championship that are making $10 million. Lincoln Riley,
Okay.
Brian Kelly.
Okay.
They're worth more than people like Mark Stoops and Lane Kiffin. And if
I
that's
agree.
what the market is, then yeah, they are worth that. But I kind of agree with what you're insinuating, that Mark Stoops and Lane Kiffin are in that same tier. I mean, they have similar successes over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Neither of them have done that much. Does Lane Kiffin has a near 6 win? Or no?
I don't think so. I think they played in the Sugar Bowl and lost, but I will quickly look that up. Go ahead.
We're just having lots of problems today because you froze on me again. But I mean, Lane Kiffin is one of those coaches to me where I do think he's a good offensive mind, but I think he's been. Oh, and this is no hate for Lane. I know, I don't think you're Lane's biggest fan, but
Well, I think he's a great offensive coordinator, though.
He's a great offensive coordinator, but he hasn't done really anything as a head coach
He's
at
had
any of the programs he's been at.
Yeah, he's had two 10-win seasons in Power 5 football out of 7 seasons. So
I mean,
that's not great.
But paying a guy like Matt Rule or even a guy like Mel Tucker that much money when they haven't really accomplished anything like super significant. I mean, Matt Rule has done more than Mel Tucker, I would say, just as a head coach, because Mel Tucker was a coordinator before that. But I mean, the market is different. Josh Heupel makes around $9 million.
So
I mean, what do you make of that?
I don't think that's overpaying him. I think that I think that Josh Heupel had a job, and he did that job. He resurrected Tennessee to make them legitimate. I do want to go to there's two coaches that are one is way not in the same universe here as we wrap this up. I think the thing about coaches who have won national championships and kind of are figuring things out as we move forward, there's two guys like that, Jimbo and Dabo. Jimbo is in way worse position than Dabo. I don't think there's any question about that. But with that said, I mean, Dabo Swinney makes $11.5 million a year. Is he as good as Nick and Kirby?
No, I don't think he's as good as
Not
Nick and
right.
Kirby,
Not
but
right now.
not
Yeah.
not right in this moment. But he did have a hell of a run there, and he
Right.
changed the culture of Clemson football. I mean, that's
And
just what it is.
I think that's the thing is that like at Jimbo is 9.5 at A&M, and they're paying him for. I don't know what Dion's getting paid at Colorado, but I'm going to tell you
That
right
hasn't been
now,
reported, has it?
he's getting underpaid. I'm going to tell you that right now because the amount of free media he's gotten from that Colorado's gotten because of Deion Sanders has not been. I mean, there's no one else in college football that has replicated the disaster that's been Colorado and getting this much bang for their buck. I think James Franklin is a little bit overhyped as well, but he's not as egregious as some of these guys. And Mel has got to get it together. $9.5 million. That's a lot. Jimbo,
I mean,
that's a
he's making
lot.
more than John. I mean, Jim Harbaugh's not making that much, right?
I don't see Jim Harbaugh on here, but remember Jim Harbaugh back to the marketplace had to adjust his situation because of what was going on with him at Michigan. I mean, they about ran the guy out of town. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
but it's changed since then. So
It
now, does he get
has,
a
and the
raise? You
market
just beat Ohio State twice.
the market, and you won the league 2 years in a row. The market should reflect that for him as well. Tell us who you think the most overpaid head coach is in college football down below. Thanks for watching.